Hi, Student Success Seminar. Welcome to Fall 2025. My name is Dr. Linda Remark, and I will be your instructor for this fall semester. I always like to start off my semesters with a video just welcoming you and showing you the layout of the course so you can start getting accustomed to our learning management system, which is Brightspace, as well as just general course navigation. So right now I am just on the kind of Brightspace landing page here. Now if you are watching this from a link I sent in your email and you have not taken your orientation course for online learning, you'll need to do that because you cannot access our course until you take that. If you are watching this from a link embedded inside the course, then you are all set. So I will go ahead and make sure that I'm clicking on our course. I'm going to get in Student Success. This is our course homepage. Now, normally you will see other announcements here. Right now, this is just like a real quick little preview of some events that will be coming up in the fall semester. But I will have announcements posted 2 to 4 times a week, depending on what's going on that week, and they will show up right here. Although you can also go to Course Tools, your list will not look like this. You will have a very short list, but you can also just go directly to the announcements page and then you will see any relevant announcements there. So the course home is just a landing spot and you'll see the announcements posted there. You are going to spend most of your time here in this lessons area. So we'll click here and there's going to be different little folders. I'm going to walk you through some of these. And my biggest piece of advice is just start to get accustomed to this the best you can. Click around, figure it out, get familiar with it. So the start here, when you click there is my welcome video will be posted right here. You can see there's already a place for it, so you can watch what you're watching right now, depending on how you're accessing this, right there. You will also have 2 discussion boards right away, the Student Lounge and the Muddy Point. So I'll show you the discussion boards and how to post in those because that will become helpful when you start working in your weekly folders. The Student Lounge is just kind of what it sounds like. It's just a real informal space where you can introduce yourself, you can talk about any good movies you've seen or where to eat or just general chit chat. It is not required by any means, but it's just a space that will be open all semester long. When you get here, I'm going to click Go to Topic. To start a new thread, you simply click on the button that says Start a New Thread. You'll enter your subject right here, and then you will post here. Once you're done, you'll just go ahead and click Post. You can also attach documents if you wanted to. And then when you go to read someone's, you can see like my title is right there. I just click on the name of the title. There's my message. It was really short and sweet. And then I can reply to it. Just hit reply to thread. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to respond right there. And then I will hit post. So that is the discussion board for the Student Lounge. So again, just a real informal place to kind of interact with your classmates throughout the semester. The other discussion board that was right underneath it is called Muddy Point. This is thinking if you have a question that you would raise your hand during class. You can pose your questions in this space. Now, anyone can answer this question. So if anyone sees a question being posed and you know the answer, please feel free to respond. I may or may not always see what's going on in the Muddy Point because I'm sometimes so focused on the academic assignments being turned in, but I still do check it a couple of times a week. If you have an individual question on your own assignment, how to do it, or a grade that you received, I ask that you message me directly and not put it in the Muddy Point because first of all, it's individual, it's private to you and your work, but also that way I see it in a very timely way. All right, so those are those 2 discussion boards. Underneath that, you have the master syllabus, which is just a really general syllabus. It says, you're taking this class, it's 1 credit hour. There's the course description. It tells you what this course is all about, and it meets all of the general learning outcomes the college has set forth. There are 5 major course objectives, things that you will talk about throughout the next 16 weeks, and they're things that you would expect with the name of a course called Student Success. Talking about time management, test taking, note taking, anything that is really going to help set you up for success as a college student and then getting into your career field. Here's a list of different policies and information, where to find them if you wanted more content on that. Disability Support Services. This is an office on campus that students who have academic needs, maybe you had an IEP or a 504 and high school, this is the office that would go to for that. They also help with short-term needs, like maybe you need someone to take notes for you because you injured your hand or whatever it might be, but they're a great resource on campus. Here is some information on computer usage along with some student success resources. I always like to show this, but then also come over here to the Sark State homepage, info for current students. Here is a list of resources that we have on campus. We are a community college, two-year college, but we have so much that helps students. We have a career services office. We have food services here. We have a game room. We have a ton of student clubs. We have a lot of tutoring across campus. We have a testing center. I really encourage you to take a look, and this will let you kind of interact and have different links and content information. All right, underneath that is the class syllabus that is specific to like those of us inside this course. So this is student success. There are this many courses. There are 6 courses inside this one Brightspace space. That means there are approximately 150 of you in here. So that's why you're going to see so many people commenting and posting things. I also want to keep that in mind because the first couple weeks of the semester, I have 150, but then I also have approximately 75 more students between my face-to-face and my other online classes. So sometimes my email does get a little heavy in the first couple weeks, so I just ask that you be patient. I do try to respond pretty quickly unless I'm physically teaching at the moment. I also do answer emails fairly early in the morning until 10 or 11 at night. So I try to make myself as available as possible. So we are Web3, which means we do not meet at all face-to-face. We also do not meet at all together online. You are all working at your own pace, at your own time within each week. Each week opens on a Monday and closes on a Sunday. So you can work within that week whenever you want. Again, here's my contact information. I'm in my office these days and times. Other times I'm either teaching or I'm at home working or running my children all around. There is my email address and there is my phone extension on campus. Even if you happen to call like on a Friday, I'm generally not on campus on Fridays. I typically have meetings that I take from home, but I will get an email saying I have a voicemail, so I can still have access to that. We do have a textbook in here, but the good news is it's right embedded in Brightspace and it is free. I will show you that here in just a little bit. Here's how you are graded. There's 410 points in the course, and this is the typical ABCDF class. Attendance is required. I know that sounds a little funny because this is an online course. However, you are graded on attendance through 2 different ways. On weeks where we have discussion boards, which is a good chunk of the weeks, you need to post your original response by Wednesday to get 100% attendance. Let's say the Wednesday deadline passes and all of a sudden it's Friday, like, oh my gosh, I didn't post. Still post because you can still get partial attendance, your 50% attendance. You also are kind of getting graded on these posts twice. First for attendance purposes, but then also just did you actually answer the prompt accurately and appropriately. So you're getting graded 2 times. So please don't skip it altogether. When we have no discussion forums, I grade you by if there is one homework, one assignment, as long as it's submitted on time by Sunday, it's 100%. If we have, let's say, 3 assignments, all 3 need to be submitted on Sunday to get 100% attendance. 70% or higher is needed to be able to pass the class, because any lower than that is when you start to see your overall grades start to really suffer. All assignments are due on their due date. Now, if you have some kind of extenuating circumstances, please reach out and let me know. I will tell you that closer to the end of the semester, around like week 13, I do start to reopen earlier weeks of the course. I do not do that as we go. I will not reopen, let's say it's week 3 and you're like, oh my gosh, can you reopen week 1? I will not do that, only because I have 150 of you in here and it's very tricky at the beginning of the semester to kind of keep up with the grading. And so once we get to the end of the semester and people are more comfortable with Brightspace, they're familiar, everything's in a groove, then I reopen usually weeks 1 through 4, 1 week at a time, for students to make up any work they may have missed earlier in the semester. Here's information on withdrawal. If you are in a 16-week course such as ours, you have until November 17th to withdraw from the class. So let's say your work schedule changes, whatever the case is, you can't keep up with the course anymore. You have until the 17th of November to take it off your schedule. After that, it stays on your transcript. All right, and then the last page, I always tell students, like, hey, if you can, print this page out. At the very least, save this PDF to your device. You can come down here and download it and then save it. But I always like, me personally, I like to have this physical calendar. So it's a nice little reminder so you can kind of check things off or reference it. But this walks you through what we're doing every single week. You can see on weeks where there's a discussion board, I have red that says, hey, your attendance post is Wednesday, responded to classmates by Sunday. And then you have other assignments in blue down here, just reminding you post by, or submit them by Sunday. On weeks where there's no discussion forum, for instance, week 4, I just have, hey, you have to turn this in by Sunday. And I know we're getting away from ourselves because we are in very warm weather right now, but thinking ahead all the way to the end of the semester, our course ends on a Friday, just putting that kind of there for you to maybe recall at a later date. And of course, I'll remind you as we get closer. So that is your syllabus. Underneath there is a welcome from me. So again, my name is Dr. Remark. I am teaching this class and other face-to-face and online courses. I have 3 kiddos. You can see like a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So you can imagine my evenings are chaotic with all of their goings on. There's my degree information, and basically I really do enjoy teaching these online classes where students can work at their own pace and their own comfort level. All right, a lot of the other stuff underneath there are just basic resources. You will find that you're going to use the Start Here section less and less as you go and get comfortable with the actual course. So you can look and see, about grades, online requirements, anything like that. Okay, I'm going to go right here and just talk real briefly about this student services assignment. I'm going to put a bug in your ear. This is not due until the end of the semester. However, whenever they update the list of workshops available, I'm recording this in mid-August, so they usually have it done by the last week of August or so, then I will have a whole separate video just for this assignment. But just so you know, you have to attend a student workshop or a student life activity. You will have 2 workshops this semester, financial literacy and note-taking workshop. Those do not count for this because every one of you are taking these. But you will have a whole list of options from different areas of the college, and they go face-to-face, Zoom, main campus, Akron campus, morning, afternoon, evening. There's a bunch of offerings. All you have to do is attend one and then submit your certificate of attendance when it's done. But again, I will have a whole video dedicated just to that assignment as soon as that list is updated in my SSC. All right, moving right along, underneath there, textbook and syllabus quiz. You can see that here is your textbook. When you go here, you'll just kind of click open link. It's going to take you right to the table of contents, and then you can click on whatever chapter you want to go to from there. Inside every weekly folder, let's say we're working on chapter 4 one week, there will be a link that will get you directly to chapter 4. But this textbook is pretty user-friendly. You can navigate by just scrolling, lots of scrolling, because they'll have all the chapter on one page. You can go to next chapter from there or go back to the table of contents. So it is pretty basic, pretty straightforward. I like to tell my students that when we're in a particular chapter, let's say we're talking about chapter 4, I don't expect you to read these textbooks word for word. Instead, I want you to focus on what is really important. So maybe you listen to my lecture video and you go back into the textbook and you're like, you know what, I am fine at taking notes, but I really need some help with remembering, my memory, remembering information, or vice versa. And maybe you just spend some time on this section of the textbook instead of, the entire chapter. So I encourage you to really spend time on what you need in each chapter. There's also a PDF version of the text. It's about 500 pages if you wanted to access it that way. Then you have your required syllabus quiz. You will have to take this before week 1 will be made available to you, and you need 100%, or I was going to say 100% or higher. Nope, the equivalent of 100% to be able to open week 1. So let's say you take it and you get an 80 and you don't know why week 1 is not open yet. It's because you need a 100% to open. And I am totally fine with you having your syllabus printed off next to you or in a tab up here so you can click back and forth. All right, and then the rest of the work is done right here in the weeks, and I will talk more about this inside the weekly folders, but they're all set up very similarly. You have an overview that kind of tells you like, hey, this is what you're working on this week, this is when it's due. You have a materials folder, which is just what it sounds like, any links to materials that you'll need, whether it's the textbook, whether it's a slideshow, and then you have the actual assignments where the work is being done completely. I will have, you'll see eventually right above the week 1 where it will say week 1 videos, and it'll be videos that go over the content, so like a lecture video of the chapter, and then it'll have a assignment video that walks you through the assignments so you know what to do for that week. and that'll go all the way down. You can see they're scheduled to open on certain days. Some other things I want to show you real quickly. You have a calendar area, which is just going to be kind of just the electronic version of that paper calendar I showed you with your syllabus, where it's going to tell you when things are due. So you can see, it tells you, hey, you've got this due coming up on August 31st. So you can look to see when certain items are due. You also have the grades area, which there's not going to be anything in there right this moment, but you can keep up with your grades right in there. It's going to look a little different on your end than it does on my end, but that's where you can check in with how you're doing. You also have some other course tools in here. Again, you will not have a whole drop-down menu of this. Actually, let me go ahead and view it as a student real quickly. Under here, you'll see just those. So you can go right to announcements. This is a text aid. If you wanted something to read aloud to, you can copy and paste it in there and it'll read it to you. And then the last thing I wanted to show you, other than there's a lot of resources you can click on here, but in the envelope here, this is where you can email me. You'll click email, click on to, click my name, add recipients, put in whatever subject it is you're talking about, and then your message. Again, I mentioned I have a lot of students, so please be as specific as possible with your questions so that you're not asking me like, hey, I don't understand this assignment. So I'm gonna respond back. You need to be more specific. What assignment? What's your question? It doesn't hurt to also put the class you're referring to, so it's a quick reference for me without me having to look up what class you're in. And then those go directly to my Stark State email, and then I can respond to you from there. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Please make sure you come back underneath the lessons area. It's not showing right now because I'm in the student view, but under the lessons area after you take your syllabus quiz and view your week 1 videos. I hope everyone has a great start to the semester.